And here we go, another day, another chapter. Sublatus percussoribus. Percussoribus are assassins in the ablative plural. So the percussors, Caesaris, these are the assassins of Caesars in this ablative absolute construction. They are sublatus, sub ferolatus tuli, they're removed. So, with the assassins of Caesar removed, supererat Pompeo domus. The domus Pompeo, the house of Pompey, supererat. Supersum. They were still surviving. The house of Pompey survived. Alta juvenum in Hispaniam occiderat. So, alta and alta, they're correlatives. So, one, juvenem, one of the young man in the family of Pompey, he occiderat in Hispania, which means he fell or died in Spain. Alta, the other, fuga evaserat. He had evaded or escaped, fuga, by flight. He was a fugitive. Contractus qui infelis belli relinquis. Okay, so contractus relinquit. He had gathered together, he contracted together the remaining people infelis belli of this unlucky war. If you know how that goes together, infelis is the unlucky, and bellum is war. Cum in super. In super is an adverb, usually means in addition. Cum in super ergastula armasset. And the armasset's a subjunctive from cum. So in addition, when he had armed the ergastula, these are like slave workshops basically, so it armed all the slaves in the workshops. Sicilia Sardinium qui habebat. He held Sicily and Sardinia. Yam, so now or already, et also, classe, with a fleet, medium mare insederat. So he was insederating in the Middle Sea, or he was occupying the Middle Sea. This is a sea in the middle of the Roman Empire, so near Italy. O quam diversus a patre! Exclamation. So, oh, how different from his father. This would be this son, and we'll have a daily dictionary to get it out of the way. Insidio, I sit down or upon, I'm seated or rest in, I'm fixed or stamped in, I adhere to, situated upon, stand upon, take place upon, occupy, I take possession of, hold, occupy. Ille, this former one, the father, had extinxerated the Kilicas, which is a proper noun, which means he had extincted them, he had crushed them, wiped them out. So these are Cilicians. And Hic, this later one, this would be the son from up here, the altar one. He was tuabatoring, he was safeguarding himself with the say, he's watching over himself with pirates, pyritica. So the father had wiped out pirates and the young one was using pirates. Putellos formias vulturum, these are places. Totem deniqui campania, and deniqui means finally or in short. Totem Campania, all of Campania. Pontias, which is marshes, and Aenarum, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places. And Ipsa, the aura, Tiberni fluminus populatus est. So this is in the past, populatus est. He has ravaged it, or he's attacked it and raided it. And the aura, Tiberni fluminus, is the mouth of the river Ipsa itself. Subindi, adverb, usually means from time to time or immediately after. Congressus Caesaris naves. So he had congress with the ships of Caesar, this would be his fleet, and incendit, and incendim's burning it. So and demers it and sank it. So he burnt and sank the fleet of Caesar immediately after he had ravaged all these places. Nec ipsi tantum, so not ipsi himself, Pompeius tantum alone or merely, but mensas en menacrates, foeda servita. These are foul slaves, or disgraced or something, quas which, accusative plural from these two slaves, plural, who praefecerated classe. They had been put in charge, praefecerat takes the dative, they were put in charge of the fleet, and they prayed abundi per litora cuncta volatabant. So they were laying violations, you might want to say, They're raiding through the whole shore, the Cuncta Littora, in search of this Bunday. Preda is booty, so they wanted to take off with their booty, basically, when they attack these shores. Okay. Ob hac tot prospera. Ob and propti mean because of, hac these things, which are gone tot prospera, so prosperously. Because remember they had volatabant, which is a frequenting of volo, which means they flew or they had haste going through these shores. Ascentum bubus, 100 bulls or oxen, oratus peloro litavit. So peloro is a locative, this is a place, pelorus or something, however we would put it in English. Litavit, so they were sacrificed. Oratus here means they had gold covered, and you probably need a footnote to know that the gold covered horns. Spirentum qui equum. The qui enclitic means and. Spirentum is the accusative of a present participle. Spirentum means breathing, and a breathing horse, cum oro, with gold. So we've had gold mentioned twice. He sent into the strait, into the fretum. In with the accusative is into or towards. Dona Neptuno hoc putabant. So here he was thinking that hoc, this things, was a dona, a gift, Neptuno, to dative Neptune. Ut, so that, say maris rector. The rector is the nominative. So the ruler, the rector, maris, genitive of the sea. Say himself, the person doing the sacrifices. Pateritor, he would be allowed, regnare, to rule in suo mare. This would be in Neptune's sea. Eo is either demonstrative pronoun or adverb. Deniqui. So finally, this discriminum, this crisis, ventum est had come. Eo ut. They're correlatives. You can say it's like adio to such an extent that a fetus, a treaty neuter, and a pax, and a peace, cum hoste. This is the cum with the ablative, so it's a preposition. So the treaty and a peace with the enemy. Si modo, if only hostis Pompeo filius. So if only the son of Pompey, there's no est here, but is hostis in apposition with filius, I'm guessing. So if only that this, if you can call the son of Pompey an enemy, so there was a treaty and a peace with the enemy. Nevertheless, feriratur, which is a fourth conjugation, it means was struck. So this treaty was struck and there was peace with the enemy. Quantum id. How this, or how much this, usually it's to do with a quantity, but breve gaudium fuit. Gaudium would be taken quantum. So how much joy fuit there was, this, id, neuter, but brief, but short. Cum in Bayanane, this would be when in this place, I think we call it by, it doesn't have an N in it in English. Mole littoris, which is a mass on the shore. Sometimes it can mean a jetty or something. There's some creation or something of rocks or something there. There was a mass of something. De reditu at Eos, concerning Eos, his reditu, his return. So they've had a peace. There's a lot of gaudium, a lot of happiness, and they're at this place on the shore concerning his return, and bonorum restitutiono, and with the restoration of his goods, take that as an ablative. Convenit, so it means it was agreed. Cumque, and when invitante ipso, by his own invitation, in navem, they'd gone on board a ship, into a ship. Discubitum est. Discubitum is a fourth word, which is a noun, which means sitting down to eat. This looks more like it comes from discumbo, which is a verb, past passive. So they were sitting down to eat on this ship. And ille, he was in crepitans, which is present participle. So he's making a noise. He's complaining, most likely, about sortem sum, about his lot in life. He sunt, which is a plural for a demonstrative pronoun. So these are, inquity said, carina mea, these are my keels, the keel on a ship, which is not incomata, which is incomata means, there's two negatives really. Horde is not, and in here is cancelling comata. Comata means friendly, so which was not unfriendly. So it may be a joke. Quod, because, cum in, when in, celebrima parte urbis, most celebrated or frequented part of the city, carinus parte ius habebasset. So his father, in the nominative, had inhabited or lived, his father had lived in Carinus, which must be a part of the city. So this Carina is a joke or pun on Carina. Ipsius, but of his own domus, his own house, and his penates, which are like the la, they're a household god, were penderant in nave, were hanging out basically, or weighed down onto a ship. Said importunites Antony, but these importunities of Antony, so he's secure in his actions, he's taking a lot of importunity, and the bonorum, and of the goods of Pompey, so quorum, of whom sector illi fuit, of which he had been the sector, he had been the person, looks like the importunities of Antony and the goods of Pompey, of which he had been the sector. This is the person who would now be owning them, I'm guessing. Praetor divorate, devoured all his booty, he'd used up, spent it all. Possessio menere non potrat, he was not able to remain the possessor, basically, of which he'd been the sector of this. And there's something to do with sextus here. Doesn't say, it must be between the text because it's not actually in it. But detractore copit, so copit, he began with the infinitive to back out, to detract away from this pact of the treaty. So they didn't enter the treaty, but because of these goods which he was supposed to be getting, this booty had all been used up. So since he wasn't able to remain in possession of it, he wanted to back out of the deal. Itaque, and so accordingly, et also he, Rursus, again ad arma, went to arms. And in totus imperii, viribus classus, in juvenem, so towards the young man, comparata, there was procured a fleet, classes, viribus, which is the forces of the whole empire. A fleet was procured against the young man, towards the young man, of whose molitio itself was magnificia. So these molitio usually means grinding or something, but I think it's these preparations which were comparated, which were procured, were huge or great or grand or something. Quipi, since inter sizo, cut away, inter Herculane vitae limitae. The limitae are a pathway, so the pathways have been cut away, intersized, on the Via Herculane, which is a road, and the enclitic qui, re fossus litoribus, and having dug out or dug away on the shores, the Lucrinus lacus, which is the Lacrinus lake, mutatus, is changed, past passive, into a port, which is a port or a harbour. And eo, and to it, interrupto medio additus est, the Avernus was added to it, having interrupted the media. So in the middle of Lake Lucrinus and Lake Avernus, the middle bit, the medio, was interrupted, was dug out, I'm guessing again, because they've already dug out shores. Ut, so that in illa aquarum, so in this quiet waters, basically, the fleet, Petitus, was seeking where they get some naval exercise, basically, it was looking like. In siculo frete juvenus oppressus est. Yeah, so the fleet exercised their naval things in these quiet waters, and in the Sicilian Fretta, the Straits, this Juvenus, this young man, was oppressus est. He was overcome or defeated. Magna qui famum ducis ad inferos secum tulicit. So, and, the qui here, the famam, the report or the rumours about him or the legend of him, Magni ducis, and the rumours of being a great leader, he would have tulicit, he would have taken with him, secum with him, ad inferos, to the underworld. Si nihil, if nothing, ulterius, this was comparative, anything furthermore to it, temptacit, he had attempted. Nisi quod, except that, magna indolus signumus, it is a sign, a signum est, of great magna indolus. This is an inborn characteristic, so it's a sign of great nature or characteristics. Semper, to always, spirare, to have hope or to hope. Enem 4, perditus rebus, when the circumstances were lost or the situation was lost, he profugated, he fled. Asium qui velis petit, and he sought sail to Asia. Asia with the accusative means towards it. Venturus, about to come ibi there, in manus hostim, into the hands of the enemy. And catenus et, and catenus are chains, so into the hands of enemy and chains, quod, which miserrium is a superlative, so it's the most wretched thing, fortibus virus, to brave man, if you want a dative it. Ad hostium arbitrum sub percussa moraturus. So he was about to come there, Venturus, and he fell into the hands, and he's about to die, moraturus, by the arbitrum, by the decision of the enemy, sub percussa, under an execution or assassin. Non alia post Xerxen miserabilio fuga. So, there had not been, after Xerxes, a more wretched, that's a comparative, more wretched flight by another alia. So, after Xerxes, there hadn't been a more miserable flight by another. Quipi, modo. We'll leave modo for a minute. So, since Tricentarum, which is 300, Quinquaginta, which is 350, navium of ships, dominus. Okay, so since he had been master of 350 ships, cum sex septem vi fugabat. And when he fled with 6 or 7, this VE is an enclitic. This modo, I don't think it's a now, it's probably you could take it as only with 6 or 7 ships he fled, he fugabanted. Extincto praetoria navis lumini, with the extincto lumini, with the lights extinguished or put out on the praetoria navis, which is the leading ship or the flagship. Annulus in mare objectus, ablative absolute, so his objectus, he's thrown his rings, his annuluses in the mare, in the sea. Pavens, fearing, atqui, respectans, and looking backwards, et tamen, and nevertheless he was non-timens, he was not scared, nisi, except a fear and ut knee get inverted, so he was fearing that with his knee, reperitor, but the lobe has periit. So the Latin library here is he wasn't fearing anything lest he be discovered, but the lobe has that he would periret. So I might just change this to the lobe version, which would be periret. And he didn't fear anything except dying.